Hello everybody, Adam Stott here, and I am with David Wicks today. David has had some incredible achievements over his career, and you're going to get a ton of value from listening to this interview. I'm absolutely certain from the stuff that I've seen David do. Now, not only is he a TEDx speaker, he has built businesses and teams in the tech industry to some astronomical results. He was one of the people that was behind actually online betting coming to the market. I mean, so many people now using online betting, it's unbelievable. And Dave is one of the people at the forefront of that. He's also helped people across the world use on-demand services that didn't even exist at some point, prior to him getting involved. So some really, really interesting stuff we're going to talk to David about today. But the things I really want to pick his brain on is around his real expertise. And his real expertise is not only in technology and engineering, it's actually how do you build a team? How do you create that unity in the team? How do you recruit and save expenses on recruitment? The fundraising patterns of businesses as they grow. So I'm going to be asking David lots and lots of questions today. He is a consultant that's helped so many businesses. I've seen firsthand how much he can change a business with what he does. So you want to listen carefully and make sure obviously you get in touch with David as well if he can help you in several areas of your business, which he's sure he can. So welcome to David to this interview. How are we doing?
Thank you, Adam.
So, first of all, what caught my interest really initially was actually the online betting and how you really were at the forefront of that. And I know you said how you built a great team, but you also have to have a great product as well. So could you tell us a little bit about that and how that came about and how you got into that in the beginning and how that's kind of impacted your career?
Yes. Well, I joined a company called Orbis, now known as OpenBet, at a time when they had just around about 20 people in the team and only 4 engineers working on a very small version of a betting site for a couple of large customers, including the Tote. And it became obvious very quickly that there was big demand for people to be able to bet online. So we created a system which enabled people to bet on live football, horse racing, a whole range of different sports, and had a massive queue of bookmakers from all over the world, from the regulated world, wanting to have a piece of the action. So we ended up with the Ladbrokes, Blue Square, Paddy Power, Slot in Macau, major names in sports bookmaking. The problem for the company was that when you've got that much demand, you've got a great original team, but they can't cope with the workload that all those customers bring. And you have to extend that team and grow it with people as good at engineering as the original team, if not better. And finding good people is a real challenge, and we did that really effectively.
So in terms of doing that really effectively, you say you've done that really effectively and you grew that team. I know you've been involved in multiple other companies like Sky and lots of others. What for you are the important parts of people watching that really want to grow a team and create that unity that helps with controlled growth? What would you say the important parts of creating a team are for you?
I think it's to realise that you shouldn't just be, like a lot of companies are today, fixated on specific skills, specific technical skills, because the technologies are changing all the time. What you really need to do is have really strong engineers who understand one particular technology area really well, but also are extremely good at teaching themselves new technologies so they can move with the times, move with the technologies. And also engineers that are very self-driven. They hate being a small cog in a large machine. Ones who get up in the morning determined to make a difference and really have a great, strong sense of personal responsibility. And these are the kind of people who will learn the business's technologies and get up to speed really quickly. Typically, when a tech business goes out and tries to find people, it'll take them nowadays 3 months to find someone who's good. If they're good, they're likely to have 3 months of notice period. And then it might take them 6 months to teach them the specifics of their business. So you're talking about a 12-month lead time to get someone into a useful role. That's too long because things are moving too quickly for that to work. So you really have to find the right people who can accelerate in their learning and become useful within weeks of joining you.
Absolutely. And you've helped many businesses to shape their teams and build their teams. and I know in particular that you've helped them with workshops as well to really get people to work together. Could you tell us a little bit about how you potentially could actually create a workshop that brings the team together and how that kind of works?
Yeah,
It's very interesting when you told me about it.
Yeah. Well, what's very important to know is that there's no one size fits all. Every team is different, but there are principles you can apply in every case, and that's what we do in the workshops. And I think you have to be aware of the classic problems that happen when you grow a team. When you're starting out and you've got a team of maybe 4 or 5 people, they're all in the same room, they all know each other really well, they're killing it, they're working really well together. You start adding into that team, there's real risks. You're going to slow that down, you're going to break some of the things that worked. If you get to the point where you have too many people for one room, then you've got 2 rooms, or perhaps just a large room and 2 tables, and people aren't talking in the same way they used to talk. And it's very easy to build a them and us approach, which creates all sorts of problems and certainly massively impacts productivity and the momentum in the business. So you have to be aware of this, because you can see these kind of step changes when you go from 5 to 10 to 20 to 40 to 100 to 150, all happening at different levels. And so in the workshops, we can go through, really understand what's happening in the business at the time, what's really frustrating them. It can include one-to-ones with the key people, just so you can get some really clear, honest, open feedback, and then feed that back to the wider group anonymously. The whole intention is not to put anybody on the spot. It's for the organisation, for that team to really understand what's going wrong and how to fix it.
Okay, brilliant. And you help business owners and directors and CTOs in businesses to manage their growth. What are the common problems that you find for business owners? Certainly might be a few people that are watching that are business owners, maybe CTOs, or they're running companies and they're looking for that growth and they're growing their business quite fast. How do you help those business owners to make the right decisions and grow their company in the right way when you're dealing with fast growth?
Yeah, well, a successful founder and business owner will get pulled in all sorts of directions as their business grows and very quickly reach a point where they just can't cope with everything that's going on. And unless they build a trusted team around them, they're going to fail and their business is going to fail. And it's about learning how to let go of having the control you might have had in the early days with just a small team, and building up a team that you know you can trust in, who can lead the key areas while still staying in touch with that team and being across everything that's happening, but not making all the decisions. And this is another thing, you need to hire people who have a sound sense of judgment and can make decisions and accept, actually, sometimes those decisions will be wrong, but if you make them quickly and keep going, then you can keep going in the right direction. Organisations can be paralysed waiting for the owner to make the right decision.
Absolutely.
And then you end up, sometimes some owners tell me that they never expect to be spending so much time managing people. And also what happens when you get someone on board who really, every recruitment, no matter how good a recruitment system and process is, how good your interviewers are, you're going to make mistakes. Every business does. And what do you do when you find you've hired someone who's just not right for the company? They could be technically fantastic, and that they're just not right for the culture. They need a different structure around them. Or it could be someone who really isn't good enough technically. Whatever the reason, you've got to make a quick decision, and you've got to get that person out of the organisation for their sake and the business's sake. And a lot of business owners find that quite difficult. I know.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've hired and fired many people in my time, and I know firing someone is one of the most difficult things you have to do, if not the most difficult thing you have to do as a manager or a leader in a business. But you have to understand that that's essential if the businesses are going to be successful, and if that individual is going to continue to have a successful career elsewhere. So it's about helping business owners go through some of those really difficult decisions and those difficult processes, and help them actually find the team and build that team around them that can strengthen the whole leadership and direction of the business.
Now, somebody that's had tons of experience building and growing teams, you said you've people that have been working in Shed to grow into 150 people. Yeah. You worked at places at Sky, thousands of employees, other companies. And you're helping business owners, maybe like yourself, that are watching, technology companies and other companies as well that want to help grow their team. So really working with companies with fast growth. What are your principles for going into a business? What do you do when you first go into a business? You're speaking to the owner, they know they need some help. What are the things that you look at and try to identify? How do you help that business to be managed more efficiently?
Well, the first thing is to listen to the business owners and everybody I meet to understand what they really value about what they're doing, what's going really well, but the things that they're really concerned about, and to try and get a sense of what are the key issues they need to fix. And these typically fall into a number of categories. In fact, in my podcast series that I did at the beginning of this year with other winners of the Deloitte Fast 50, I distilled the experiences from all these successful businesses into what I call the map of growth, which has 20 steps taking you from the initial vision of the company through to sustained rapid growth. And in that, there are 4 key stages which are relevant to every business. The first thing is the foundations, and this is one of the things I will sort of look at very much when I start working with a company, because it's essential. What is their vision? What are they trying to achieve? Some businesses talk about a North Star, and it's really guided them. You look at companies like Skyscanner. From start, as a small team writing a spreadsheet application to find bookings for ski holidays, to being a multinational travel broker, bought by a company for £1.4 billion 2 or 3 years ago. Throughout that period, they've had one goal, and that's always put the traveller first. Whatever they've done, they've put the traveller first, and that's guided everything they've done. It's really important to have that kind of vision. Now, some other businesses don't have that at the start. They kind of got an idea. Maybe the founder has been working in industry for a certain length of time and has seen lots of problems, and then has seen a new technology that they think will fix those problems, and they explore that, and then they create the vision. Maybe it might take a few years. Certainly at Orbis, the original vision was that we would make static, boring online sites that were essentially digital brochures into something living with live data, originally sports data, the latest scores from various matches or race results, and that quickly turned into more of an e-commerce application of betting. So you kind of follow your nose through the opportunities, but all the time you're saying, what are we trying to achieve here? Because the bigger the organisation gets, the more important that is.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. I think you look at that is how you build a great culture. Is everyone's going in the right direction? Everyone's going in the same direction. If they're going in the same direction, everyone pulls together. Pulls together. You've got a better team.
Exactly.
So, do you help people to develop that vision? So maybe somebody that's watching might be in a position where they've got a great company. It might be growing fast, but really they need to understand what their vision is and where they're going. Is that something that you help develop with companies?
Definitely do, and I've done that from a very early stage business through to more mature businesses. One I'm working with at the moment is very early stage, and in talking to them, it became obvious very quickly that they weren't clear on what was the type of customer they wanted to serve and what was the problem they were trying to solve. And I think we identified a number of options, and there's an ongoing process now. We're actually having a workshop in a couple of weeks' time to really drill down on that and really understand what they're trying to do, because they're in a crowded marketplace and they really need to differentiate themselves if they're going to get anywhere. And then there are others, as you say, as organisations grow, and you get teams specialising. So you may have an engineering team, you may have what people nowadays call a customer success team, might be a support team, your sales team, obviously business development, a whole bunch of different teams. And as you grow, you go from the point where at the start of a company, everybody usually understands what the company's about, what the customer's like, and they know what they do every day and how that impacts their customer. As the business grows, the risk is you lose touch with that. You become very focused on a very small area, and you have no idea of what impact that has on the customer and why it's important and why you need to continue to perform to your best and what difference that makes to your customer. And I think it's about making sure that everybody stays in touch with the vision of the business, with what's important for their customers, no matter what role they're doing. And that's something we work on with clients.
Yeah. Often when I'm interviewing somebody who's had a really successful career, a really successful business, I ask them about the importance of coaching, mentoring and consulting. And now you're a consultant, I know that you understand that the importance of it. So I'm not going to ask you that, because I think it's obvious to you, to me, and hopefully most of the people watching, that as a business owner, if you want to succeed, you need to get advice from people that have walked the path that you want to walk. But as a consultant, and there's a lot of different people out there, my question to you would be slightly different, David. Why would somebody watching choose you to come into their business and help them? What are the things that you think that you really add, and the wow factor that you add to a business that might be watching us thinking, how do I get someone in that's to help me grow?
Yeah, I would say, because I'm a person who has actually lived these problems, I've made the mistakes, I've learned from those problems. I've seen companies fail as a result of not my personal mistakes, but collective mistakes in those businesses, and gone on and used those learning points to actually make other businesses successful. So it's first-hand experience of what works and what doesn't work. And sometimes the solutions are not obvious ones. People go for something that seems obvious at the time and it doesn't work. And I'll give you an example of this. One of the big problems that growing businesses have, when they've got increasing number of customers, they have to support those customers. And while supporting the existing customers, they have to develop new products, new features for new customers. And that creates a real tension in the engineering team that does all the software development. What do they spend their time on? And a lot of companies, and I fell into this trap at a company called Metrica, and also to a certain extent with Orbis, was the main learning point. We had a team which was really trying to deliver to all these different bookmakers. Yeah. And the bookmakers were making more and more money on their sites, millions of pounds transacting through their systems, particularly around events like the Grand National, which is a major event every year. And they had to have their systems running 24/7, 365. So we had to provide a good level of support. At the same time, we had to continue to give them more features for the next sort of services they want to be offering, be it sort of betting and running or casinos or a whole bunch of other things we were doing. So I created a support team, brought in a professional sport manager. He then hired some professional sport engineers, and they brought in some very much needed processes for that. But the problem was they never learned the core technologies. They never really understood the software we were producing, or really the customers. And so they became go-betweens between the engineering team and the customer, and upset both. The customer was upset because they weren't getting the responses that they needed in the time they needed it. The engineering team was upset because they were interrupted constantly, and it would have been quicker for them to do the work. So we had to completely reboot that. We brought in 2 or 3 of the most experienced people from the engineering team. We said, right, you support it. We brought in another proven manager to coordinate it, and we turned support into a one-stop shop, where whoever picked up the phone to a customer could solve their problem. It might not be immediate, but they could lead the investigation and see it through to completion. And customers really loved that. Yeah. And the engineering team loved it because it meant that
they could still develop the product.
So whereas people don't want, they're trying to protect their most valuable engineers, their most knowledgeable engineers by not giving them maintenance work. Actually, taking 1 or 2 of those out and giving them that responsibility is a massive benefit for everybody.
And often a business owner can't really work out where to deploy the resources. Yeah. And I think an outside pair of eyes actually can establish that and help them do it, can't they? So, if you'd like David to help you in any area of building your business, certainly get in touch with him. Such an impressive career, being a TEDx speaker, spoken on these subjects, help businesses grow into multinational companies, work with smaller companies and large companies, and all the way through and all the way in the middle too. Certainly a man that can help you grow your team, grow it fast, give you that controlled growth and really get your results. So thanks for today, David. It's been a very, very interesting chat. I've been really enjoying hearing about some of the experiences. And if people watching want to hear more, where do they go to and see a little bit more information about the sort of things that you can help them with?
You can come to the Digital Hunters website, which is www.digitalhunters.co.uk.
You can also grab David's book. You're also an author, aren't you? You've also written a book called Digital Hunters. So go and grab that too, because there's a lot of good. I've read it myself. Fantastic book, lots of great information. So thank you very much, David.
Thank
Really
you.
enjoyed you.
Thank you.